Alright, so enter Melissa McCarthy. She had a really good first half of the 2010s. She was in everything. She was making $5 to $10 million a movie. But then she did a string of failures, and now her career has really collapsed on her where she has no movies planned. So at the end of the day, what ruined Melissa McCarthy? 14 years ago, the movie Bridesmaids came out, which was this massive hit, making $304 million on a budget of $31 million. And not only did it boost Melissa McCarthy's career, but it also kind of changed how a lot of women see the whole role of being a bridesmaid, where they did create a lot of traditions just from this movie. And then after that happened, there was a period of a few years where Melissa McCarthy was just absolutely printing money, where she did films like The Heat, St. Vincent, and all these other films where there were about a half a dozen of them that had these low budgets but then made hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office, and she became a mega millionaire. She was also one of the only actresses killing it on both TV and movies, where she had the show Mike and Molly, which was getting 12 million viewers an episode, which was just a touch below what Big Bang Theory was getting at that time. Right now, Melissa McCarthy's got nothing booked. She has nothing live action in the pipeline, nothing coming out, and her last movie came out a year ago, the Unfrosted movie with Jerry Seinfeld, which was a total dud on Netflix. Looking at why Melissa McCarthy's career failed out in her, I think it's important to look at the movie Bridesmaids and how they refused to do a sequel. It had a lot to do with her co-star Kristen Wiig, who was ultimately the main character of Bridesmaids, where she said, hey, this movie's so good, let's not make a sequel to it, let's not ruin lightning in a bottle. And then there was actually a plan for a Melissa McCarthy sequel to Bridesmaids, where she would actually be the main character, and Judd Apatow, the producer, really wanted that idea, but Melissa ultimately said she wouldn't do it without Kristen in the role, and that was a big mistake for Melissa McCarthy, because even though she stayed loyal to her co-star, that was a big franchise she lost out on herself doing. Melissa and Kristen still wanted to work together, so that's why they did Ghostbusters in 2016, where it was reported Melissa McCarthy made $15 million from the movie, but ultimately it was a huge failure. It cost $144 million to make, it made $221 million, and then after marketing and ticket splits, it actually lost about $50 million, and making it even worse, people just really hated this movie, where the cast was actually coming out saying, if you dislike it, you just hate women. Ghostbusters really began the downfall for Melissa McCarthy, where she began doing other movies like Happy Time Murders, and she went from being known for doing these good comedy movies to doing total crap. There was also how Melissa McCarthy handled the show Mike and Molly, where in the first season of the show she was making $25,000 an episode, but because her career in the movie industry, she was demanding $350,000 an episode by the final season. As a show, it's important to know Mike and Molly wasn't actually that popular critically, but it just had a lot of help from the network, where it came on right after 2.5 Men, which was a big boost for it, and then also in the reruns, it came on right after Big Bang Theory, another big boost. But because of the ratings for Mike and Molly began to collapse in the later seasons, where they went from 12 million viewers an episode to about 5 million, they couldn't afford Melissa McCarthy's salary anymore, so they canceled it. And there's also another important factor, and I think that Melissa McCarthy personally doesn't love these stupid comedy movies she does. Remember, early on in her career, she did start out doing these more dramatic roles like the show Gilmore Girls, which got her fame, where even though it was funny, it was still more drama. But then when Melissa, in the height of her fame, tried to do the movie Can You Ever Forgive Me, which was so good it got her an Oscar nomination, which was definitely deserved, the movie failed because people just saw her as a comedic actress making only $12 million on a budget of $10 million. Amazing talent, but I think there were some mistakes that ruined her career, and with that, I'm Charles Sproul. Subscribe, learn something.